A viewer asked me where I got my drive from. When I was 17, I left my mum's. My mum's house was a house of rules, and me and rules didn't get along very well. Maybe this was due to lack of parenting or a lack of direction, so I moved to Brighton. But how did I get to Brighton? For a year's time, I was playing Call of Duty Zombies online and I met this guy. I explained my situation and he suggested the idea of coming to collect me, and I didn't really think about it. I was 17 at the time. So I said, fuck it, let's do it. So I spent a good 9 months in Brighton. It was good fun. Having the freedom, the fresh air, the ability to just be myself. And I used to chill on the beach. And it was that moment where I realized there was more to life. After about 9 months, I had to leave the place that I was at. So I headed back to Wales. I actually stayed with my nan because I couldn't be a guest in my own family's home. So this was new to me because this was my dad's side and I wasn't really connected to that side. So once again, I went from Brighton, opportunity, to a completely different household. I stayed there for about 6 months and I could not let go of the fact that I had already been to Brighton. Knowing that there was so much more, I had to leave again. So I went into the heart of Brighton, found myself a hostel, and I ended up associating myself around people that I shouldn't be. Smoked weed every day. I had fun. I was 17, for God's sake. This was my first taste of freedom without anybody. Going out into the real world with a little bit of support on what I could do with my life. I thought it was actually freedom. Looking back, it was actually no direction. The pattern I couldn't see. And this stemmed through many relationships throughout my life. The same thing over and over again, trying to merge with someone, losing myself, falling apart, and the cycle repeats over and over. The one thing that truly broke me, after all of the arguments and breaking up with the woman I loved at the time, 3 days later, my heart was completely shattered as I saw her ready, glammed up, getting in another guy's car. And here's where it gets deep, because I reached out to a friend, so I thought at the time, and he said, well, you broke up with her. With no support, my life started to crumble beneath my feet. And me being young, I took her back. I went back and I went back. We worked in the same environment. Every time I saw her car, every time I drove past her work, I would just get the same heartbreak. But a year passed after trying to understand why I physically could not let go. And a voice said to me, it's time. So I walked into her workspace and I felt nothing. And at that point, I felt liberated. That was the first time I started to see the pattern lose its grip. I didn't understand it yet, but it was actually the point where something shifted within me. And as things started to improve, I became homeless. I won't explain how I became homeless, but it was actually the final piece. The final piece to break me. Like, a heartbreak wasn't enough. Trying to detach from an emotion that I didn't understand was not enough. I spent almost 6 months showering in the gym. I taped my windows. I had to feed myself. I bought a little burner. I tried everything in order to survive. And at this point, I started saving money because I really didn't want to go back to an environment that did not serve me anymore. Sleeping in the car was frightening. It was one of the most challenging times of my life because I didn't want to be around people. So I parked my car in unsafe, dark places, half hour away from anybody. And sometimes I would wake up and there would be a car parked. And I'd wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock because I wanted to be out before anyone turned up. And sometimes people would be parked next to me and whoof, creep me the fuck out. And at this point, I was in a position where I just had enough and I was ready to disappear. What I saw and the lessons I gained from it. I finally saw it. And it wasn't the woman. It wasn't my environment. It wasn't my situations. And it wasn't the country. These just played a role in the situation that was happening at the time. I kept trying to escape the outside when I was actually just running from my inside. But there was a moment where I saw it clearly that I was actually in control of my life. And it was something that I had to move through within myself. I had to deal with, and everything outside of me was displaying an opportunity to grow. It was displaying an opportunity to learn solitude and isolation and everything that came with heartbreak. It taught me how to value myself and love myself. And the biggest takeaway from all of my pain was understanding that I am already whole, that nothing outside of me really matters. It's a bonus, an extension of who I am. And I learned that I can only grow through pain, through embracing discomfort and encouraging myself to show up when times get hard. And when times are uncertain, is that perfect opportunity to continuously follow through. You see, things that used to take months for me to move through, for me to detach from, and from me to heal from, I see them from a different lens now. And without my experience of pain, trauma, going back to environments and situations that didn't even serve me, I'm able to transmute that pain in a matter of minutes now. And it all comes from the mental frame of how I show up in that moment of discomfort and how I'm able to encourage myself to move through these situations instead of running from them continuously. So I just keep getting the same lesson. Now I get new lessons in life and I am becoming a new embodiment because I'm acting as someone who is learning from what happened to them. I'm not someone who fails. I'm someone who returns fast. That's the whole thing, and that's what I teach because it's the exact thing that got me out of this place.